What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Wide receiver Antonio Brown is ready to go one-on-one in sports, but not the NFL, boxing. It's been reported that Antonio Brown is in talks to fight Logan Paul, a guy that's been made famous on YouTube, a YouTube fighter, a guy that did some good numbers, they say, on DAZN fighting KS1. They had two fights. The first fight was a draw. It did good numbers. I think it was on pay-per-view, actually. And the second fight was on DAZN, an app. And it did good numbers. Had a big crowd down there in the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Logan Paul is the 0-1 professionally. The rematch with KS1, a lot of people thought he got messed over a little bit in that fight, as he got 1 point taken away from him in that fight. And that point right there swung the fight into KS1's favor, and he was able to win a decision in a highly competitive fight. A lot of people still thought that Logan Paul won the fight, man. It was a very competitive, very close decision. So he's been boxing for a little bit, and he showed some skills in that fight, man. He was trained by the brash and talkative and controversial Shannon Briggs, former heavyweight champion, a guy that beat George Foreman for his belt, made his name off of defeating George Foreman in a heavyweight fight, probably around around 15 years ago. And he had that title, and then he ended up fighting Lennox Lewis in a unified heavyweight match, and he lost that fight via knockout, as Lennox Lewis put him to sleep. But he was actually doing good in that fight up until the knockout. So Shannon Briggs has been his trainer, and that fight got a lot of publicity, but now it's looking like Logan Paul's looking for another guy that he can sell and do good numbers with, and it's looking like he's about to find his foil, and that's wide receiver Antonio Brown, controversial Antonio Brown, who you know has been in and out of trouble all this past 2019, man, as he was with the Raiders, got into it with the head coach in the front office, ended up getting dismissed from that team, and then went to New England and fell out of favor with New England Patriots organization, ended up leaving that team, and he's been on a Twitter tirade ever since, blaming everybody under the sun, but instead of looking in the mirror and blaming who he should blame, and that's himself. You know, the man in the mirror, Michael Jackson say you got to look at that man in the mirror, and Antonio Brown obviously has not taken heed to that, and he's been finger pointing his way out the NFL, man. But he's looking to get into that square circle, the boxing ring, and take on Logan Paul. And guess who's looking to promote it? Eddie Hearn, as I call him, Eddie the con artist, is looking to promote that fight on DAZN. He's trying to revive that sinking ship that we know as DAZN. Is there? You know, I think they're losing money hand over fist right now. You know, threw a lot of money at Canelo Alvarez, threw a lot of money at Triple G, and the two headliners that they brought over there to DAZN, and they couldn't even get them to the fight to make revenue for that company, as those two guys, when they were on HBO, had two pay-per-view fights, and both of them did over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Can't even get those guys to fight, as they're, like I said, they're drowning in money. And I don't mean drowning in money in the good thing. I mean drowning in the money about to be DOA. About to be dead on arrival. Can't keep their head above water. You know, with the amount of money they've been throwing out. I know they've been looking big picture, thinking they're gonna get a return on their investments in years to come, but I don't see that trend happening for them, as their numbers the numbers that they're producing are not is not producing positive results compared to the money that they've been throwing out to these fighters. So we'll see what happens though. But Antonio Brown, wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers, versus Logan Paul, is, you know, they're talking about putting a fight on DAZN, and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing promoting that fight. So we'll see what happens, man. I saw a video earlier today with Antonio Brown doing a little sparring and stuff, working on the heavy bag and stuff, and I started to do a video then, but that's before I heard that, you know, they were looking at him fighting Logan Paul, and I saw that video, and I said, man, is he going to jump into boxing? Is he looking to jump into boxing? Maybe he's trying to do like the wide receiver from the Jets. His name is escaping me right now. He also since he's retired, he's one of the hosts on Inside the NFL on Showtime. Brandon Marshall, I got his name now. Brandon Marshall. When I saw Antonio Brown in that sparring video and working on the heavy bag and that boxing video earlier today. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Is he gonna pull another? Is he trying to pull a Brandon Marshall and get into the boxing? I don't think Brandon Marshall even had his first fight. He's trying to do it the right way. He's been training, and trying to get ready for his pro boxing debut. And they say this fight here could probably take place sometime in the spring of 2020. Antonio Brown versus Logan Paul. One of the guys that's talking about training Antonio Brown said that they're going to try to get him 3 months of training and get him acclimated to the technique and the skills and how to throw his punches properly, the conditioning and stamina, and they think he'll be good to go for a fight with Logan Paul. Now, one thing about Antonio Brown, the guy keeps himself in excellent condition, so he's already got the athleticism to maybe transfer over from football to boxing. And due to the fact that he's fighting another guy that's basically a novice, a guy that's had 2 professional fights, so it's not like he's getting there with a seasoned pro that's been in the boxing game for years, and he it has been a number of years. He's had over like 100 amateur fights, and you get in the ring with a guy like that where you basically going to the slaughterhouse. Now he's getting there with a guy that's got a little bit more experience than him, but not a lot more. So he should be kind of more of an even playing field. I still think he'd be behind the 8 ball a little bit compared to Logan Paul. Logan Paul has had 2 fights. He has had 2 training camps at least. And Antonio Brown will be his first training camp in the sport of boxing. So we'll see what happens, man. But Antonio Brown is keeping his name in the headlines, man. Even though he's not didn't play hardly at all on the football field outside of that one game with the New England Patriots. He has managed to keep his name in the headlines, controversial or not. He's been able to keep his name in the headlines. I guess he's living by the mantra. I don't care if you're talking about me good or talking about me bad. I just want you talking about me, and that's what Antonio Brown has managed to do, man. So we'll see what happens, man. But that's the breaking news. Antonio Brown is training and getting ready for a boxing match against Logan Paul. That'll be what you call a celebrity boxing match, but it'll be a serious boxing match with gloves, square circle ring, and they looking to stage that fight maybe again in LA at Staples Center, where Logan Paul versus KS1 did. KSI did huge numbers on DAZN. Was the most one of their better shows, top 5 best shows on DAZN in 2019. The KS1 KSI. Logan Paul, I think Eddie Hearn, the promoter, I think he said the Logan Paul versus KSI celebrity boxing match did produce better numbers than Anthony Joshua versus John Ruiz 2. And he said did better numbers than Canelo Alvarez, both his fights on DAZN this past year, when he fought Daniel Jacobs, and then when he fought, who else he fought? He fought Daniel Jacobs, and he fought... Oh, man, who did he fight? Rocky Fielding. He fought Rocky Fielding early in the year. Rocky Fielding. Fought Rocky Fielding and Daniel Jacobs. So they say he did real good numbers. So compared to those 2, I think he fought Rocky Fielding toward the end of 2008. I think that was in December. He fought Rocky Fielding, and then he fought Daniel Jacobs in May of 2019, if I'm not mistaken. But nevertheless, man, that KS1 Logan Paul fight was the highest numbered. Well, it got the highest subscription increase and the highest viewed for that fight on DAZN was KS1 versus Logan Paul. It did the best out of all the boxing matches that were shown on DAZN in 2019. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what transpires. Leave the comments in the comment section if you think it's a good idea for Antonio Brown to try his hand in boxing. You think he should try to focus on getting back into the NFL and worry about that? Do you think no harm, no foul? This is basically off season right now, and he should be able to get in the boxing ring and try his hand at boxing. Maybe he can be what they call a diamond in the rough, and be able to start a late career in the sport of boxing, man. Maybe fight Logan Paul, beat him, and then if he win that, fight KS1, because KS1 has beat Logan Paul in the rematch. Controversial as it was, he got the decision. And maybe if he can get past Logan Paul, get a good payday beating him, he can get in there with KS1 and get another payday, and make some money in that regard. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what transpires. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.